Hello students, today we will study about tissues. As we have already studied about the cell structure, cell means the functional and structural unit of life. Now we will study about next step, that is tissue. Tissue. As we know that tissues are made up of cell. Tissues are made up of cell and from the tissues an organ is formed and different types of organ together form organ system and different organ system together form an organism. As I told you that tissues are made up of cells. Cells, which kind of cells? When the cells which are same in structure and function, then these same kind of cells makes one tissue. Means tissues is the group of cells which are same in structure and function. They form tissue. Okay, is it clear? Now, as we have already cell, we will study the next step, tissue today. Tissues are of two types, plant tissues and animal tissues. As the name itself defines that plant tissue means tissues which are found in plants. Plant tissues and tissues which are found in animals, they are animal tissues. Plant tissue. Plant tissue are again divided into two categories, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. What happens in meristematic? In meristematic tissues, cells divides continuously and this is responsible for the growth of the plant. This is responsible for growth of the plant. As why it is responsible for the growth of the plant? Because cells divide continuously. Cell divide continuously. As we talk about permanent tissue, then in the permanent tissue, cells stops dividing. Cells almost stop dividing. And it takes a permanent shape and size. When the cell take permanent shape and size, then it is called permanent tissue. Now, meristematic tissue, it's again divided into three parts. We will study about the different parts. Number one is meristematic tissue. It is divided into three parts. Number one is apical meristem. Number two is lateral meristem and number three is intercalary meristem. Apical meristem, suppose it is the structure of a cell. This apical meristem is found in the tip or in the apex of the cell. This is apex, or we can say this is the tip of the cell. In this, what is the function of apical meristem? It divides the cell continuously, and this is responsible for the growth of the cell. It increases the length or height of the cell. So, this is apex, and this part is called apical meristem. So, what we can say that apical meristem is found in apex, in the apex or in the tip of the part of the plant, and it's not compulsory that it is found only in the shoot. It can found in the root also, because root also grow. So, it is found in the apex and tip of the part of the cell, and it increase the length or height of the cell. It increase length or height of that part. Clear? Now, next is lateral meristem. Lateral meristem is found here in the lateral sides. This is lateral meristem. It increases the thickness of the part of the plant. It increases the thickness of the part of the plant. So, we can say it is found on the lateral side, and it increases the thickness. It increases the thickness of the plant part. Last one is intercalary meristem. This is found between the two nodes of the plant stem. Suppose this is the node, so here this is found in between the two nodes, and it is called intercalary meristem. Is it clear? Now, next is permanent. As we have studied the meristematic tissues, first we are studying about the plant tissues, and first we are studying meristematic tissue, and another is permanent tissue. As I told you about the meristematic tissue, now next is permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. In the permanent tissue, almost the cell division stops and cell take the particular shape or size. Now, again it is divided into two parts, simple tissue and complex tissue. Simple tissue and complex tissue. In the simple tissue, they are made up of one kind of cell. That's why they are known as simple tissue. They are made up of one kind of cell. That's why they are known as simple tissues. In the complex tissues, they are made up of more than one type of tissue. They are made up of more than one type of cell. That's why they are called complex tissues. Made up of more than one type cell. That's why they are called complex tissues. Now, simple tissues, types of simple tissues are, number one is parenchyma, then collenchyma, sclerenchyma, parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Number 1 is parenchyma. Now we will study about these. Number 1 is parenchyma. Parenchyma. Parenchyma has large intracellular space. Suppose this is the cell, so they have large intracellular space, and this parenchyma is again divided into two parts: large intracellular space. Now parenchyma is of two types, Sclerenchyma and Parenchyma. I am talking about Sclerenchyma, not Parenchyma. Here it is. Number 1 is Sclerenchyma and another is Parenchyma. Parenchyma. In Sclerenchyma, chlorophyll is present, and in the Parenchyma there is no chlorophyll. This is Sclerenchyma, chlorophyll is present, and in the Parenchyma there is no chlorophyll, but it has some air spaces. That's why a plant, which are aquatic plant, they can flow easily in the water. Even it provides buoyancy to the plant to float. So due to air spaces, it provides buoyancy to plant to float. Plant to float. Now next is Sclerenchyma. Number 2 is Sclerenchyma. It has little intracellular space. In Parenchyma it has large intracellular space, but in Sclerenchyma it has little intracellular space. Okay, little intracellular space. Now it helps a plant to be flexible, means it provides flexibility to the plant. Suppose a plant gets bent due to the air or some water pressure, then it can bend easily because of the Sclerenchyma, because it provides flexibility to the plant. It provides flexibility to plant, so that plant can easily bend due to the air pressure or water pressure. Number 3 is Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma. It has no intracellular space between the cells. Cells are closely packed. We can say that cells are closely packed. They have no intracellular space. No intracellular space. Now simple tissues are completed here. Next we will study about the complex tissue. Here we will study about the complex tissue. As I told you, they are made up of more than one kind of cell. As I told you in the simple tissues that these Parenchyma, Sclerenchyma and Sclerenchyma are made up of one kind of cell. Suppose if I am talking about Parenchyma, so these cells are of same kind. Same here, Sclerenchyma, these cells which the tissue is made up of, these are of same kind. And in the same happens here with the Sclerenchyma, that these cells, these tissues are made up of same kind of cells. Now next is, another one is complex tissues. Complex tissues which are made up of more than one cells. They are of two type, xylem and phloem. They are of two type, xylem and phloem. In the plant, this is the plant cell, this is xylem and this is phloem. So, what is the function of xylem? Xylem takes the liquid part upward to the plant parts and phloem carry the food from one part to the another part. As we know that xylem is taking water, so it is absorbing water from the roots and it is taking it upward to the different parts of the plant. And phloem carries the food, and from where it is carry the food? As we know that plants have chlorophyll, they can make the food. So, once the food is prepared in the leaves, then it brings food from the leaves to the different parts of the plant. So, this is the function of the phloem. Now, I have given you the introduction of plant tissues. Now, we will start animal tissues. Animal tissues means tissues which are found in animals. They are again of four types: epithelical tissue, nervous tissue, muscular tissue and connective tissue. We will start animal tissue. Next is number 2 is animal tissue. Animal tissue. They are again of four types. Number 1 is epithelical tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. As I told you, epithelical tissue means which are covering to outer body. They are again of 5 types. Squamous, cuboidal, and this is the last one, that is fluid tissue, and this is nervous tissue. Now, let me explain you epithelical tissue. Epithelical tissue means which is covering the outer structure of the body, and it is of the 5 types: squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated and granular. This is just the brief idea of this is just the introduction of this animal cells. Now, I will explain you in these parts in the detail. Next one is the muscular. Muscular is again divided into 3 parts, means we can say that muscular tissues are of 3 types: striated or skeletal muscles, means which are connected to the skeleton, and unstriated or smooth muscles, then cardiac muscles. Smooth muscles are also known as involuntary muscles, and these are the cardiac muscles which are connected, we can say these are related to the heart. Another one is connective tissues. Connective tissues means tissues which connect the 2 things together. Now, next it is of these parts are there: areolar tissue, dense regular connective tissue, adipose tissue, skeletal tissue and fluid tissue. Another one is nervous tissue. Nervous tissue means it is made up of neurons. Neurons again has 2 parts: axon and cyton. Cyton means cell body, which makes the cell body. This is the cyton part and this is the axon part. These are dendrites, nucleus, This part is called cyton part, means it forms the cell body, and this is the axon part. Okay, this makes the lower part of the nervous tissues. So this is the short idea of the animal tissues, which we will study in the detail from the next time. Thank you.